Hey you, right there. Hold. Hands up in the air. This is the scam police. The reason why the scam police is here is to address a subject which could be very dangerous for some gullible people, which is the Tome of Insight. Let's just inform the less knowledgeable about the situation. Korthia has launched with catch-up mechanism for alts. There is a piece of loot that you might very likely have gotten from rares or from treasures, which is called Korthian armaments. This is also the one that can be purchased for 1000 Stygia from the Death's Advance vendor as soon as you are friendly with them. This is bind on account, and it's an item that you can just send to whoever you want and give them a 200 item level piece of gear. Now, this is normally trash, right? Who cares about a 200 item level piece of gear? It can be upgraded up to 233 item level, which is still, you know, the last two bosses of normal raid Castornathria quality. It's still some almost 20 item levels below mythic raiding in Sanctum of Domination, so it's still very low item level. Why would you care about this if you are on your main character? Well, the reason why is because the pieces of gear available include trinkets. And one of these trinkets, which is for intellect users, happens to be the Tome of Insight. Now, at first, and even at second, and possibly even at third, this looks pretty standard. It just has intellect and a proc chance of a secondary stat. You have seen this before plenty of times. How is this any special? Look at the Unbound Changeling, right? It's literally the same thing. It gives you the same stat. So, the difference is that the duration of a trinket effect, which is apparently identical like the Unbound Changeling, is only for 12 seconds, whereas the Tome of Insight is for 20 seconds. The stat given by Tome of Insight, even if it's almost twice as long, the Unbound Changeling at 233 item level is going to give you 363 of your secondary stat, while your Tome of Insight trinket is going to give you 324 secondary stat. So this is just some 12% less secondary stat, even though the duration is nearly twice as long. And that's not just it, because the proc rate of a trinket like Unbound Changeling and like many other trinkets available in Shadowlands is 1.5 times per minute, 1.5 times, whereas currently the proc rate of this Tome of Insight trinket is twice per minute. So proccing twice per minute when the proc itself lasts 20 seconds means you're gonna have this trinket active for 40 seconds out of 60. That is a 66% uptime, whereas having a trinket like the Unbound Changeling proc 1.5 times per minute with a 12-second duration, it's only an 18-second long trinket every minute. That's less than half of the duration of the Tome of Insight proc. The reason why you have been apprehended by the scam police is just to warn you that this is not really gonna go live for raid season and Mythic Plus season in this current state. It's gonna get tuned, it's gonna get hotfixed, it's not going to be this powerful. It's either going to get the stat of the proc nerfed because the duration is so much longer, or it's going to get the proc rate brought back in line with the rest of the other trinkets, as well as the 20-second duration being too long. You know, any one of these three things is going to eventually get nerfed. So don't try to dump some several thousand Stygias trying to open up an armament with a trinket in it, because this thing is not going to last. Now, talking about something else, Blizzard has gone through with some fixes. I'm sure you have seen the complaints, or you have suffered firsthand from some of these issues and frustrations. Number one of the things that people got pissed off the most was the duration in which the treasures were being active and staying active in Korthia. Many times, I'm sure you just looked at a treasure or saw a treasure on the minimap, and similar, you ran to the treasure and then the treasure just disappeared in front of you. Other times, even more annoyingly, many of these treasures were going to appear in some branches of trees or in some jumping puzzle locations, and you saw someone in front of you open it up, and then it was a race against time where you had to reach it in a few seconds before it just disappeared. So the official patch note of this change is that the treasures are now found to contain many more items. That's also going to be pretty interesting in what it means. and will not disappear for a much longer time once first found. This should allow you to get them and loot them before they disappear. Before this change, they were supposed to last for about 10 seconds. Now they should be lasting for 60 seconds, for a whole minute. So generally speaking, if you are close enough to see them in the map, right, you should have within 60 seconds. That should be long enough for you to actually get to them, unless you are literally a paraplegic and you can't use your fucking mouse and keyboard to jump a couple of steps over a tree and some branches and click on the treasure. Another thing which might be a quality of life for a few people who actually bothered to use this stuff: many zone consumables, such as those purchased with infused rubies from Revendreth, and a few other consumables that you can get in the other Shadowlands zones, as well as some of the enchants, like, annoyingly, the Gathering enchants, the faster Gathering enchant, should now work in Korthia. For some reason, Korthia was not considered part of the Shadowlands zones, so basically all of the Shadowlands zones related stuff simply wasn't working. I am sure also you have heard already the complaints about the drab hoppers from the Gold Snow object, which was a daily quest yesterday. It was, of course, seen by many sane people as an abomination. The zone in which these little fuckers spawned was very, very small. There were very few of them, and more importantly, they were not unique. They were shared among everyone, so if somebody nabbed one, you were just unable to just click it yourself. And this ended up taking you a lot of time to go through for this simple daily quest. I'm a bit confused in what happened, because I did this quest in the PTR and it wasn't this bad. Maybe something changed going into live, having to deal with sharding and some of these things. Maybe war mode changed something. It's weird. Now, another thing we have to go through, because this is about to become very relevant in a few days, just like the point we made yesterday about the changes to the anima powers, which is the changes to the Shards of Domination, the new borrowed power, the new pathetic borrowed power that is going to be available in 9.1. We have already talked about this. Some people will enjoy having a pathetic borrowed power because it means they are not lending class power and spec power into something they have no control over, or into something that will be lost next tier or next expansion. Some people enjoy that. Other people will find it more annoying because they have to deal and manage all this gear with all these shards for something that effectively in the end is not that powerful of a buff, of a strength increase for your character. One thing worth mentioning is that this change is effectively irrelevant at the end. So at the last rank, at rank 5, there is no change. The strength remains the same. What Blizzard has done is nerfing pretty much across the board all of the first 4 ranks. Now, this is more relevant because these ranks have to be upgraded with Stygian Embers, and Stygian Ember generation is gated by the amount of bosses you are killing and the 10 embers you are gaining from the weekly quest, Shaping Fate. So it's gonna take you a long time to upgrade these gems, and even longer to get them all to rank 5, which is the rank where they have not been nerfed. So for the next foreseeable future, for the next week, and for the most part of your, for example, Mythic progression and the first brunt of your Mythic Plus progression, you will get the nerfed shards. You will get to use only the nerfed shards. The Shard of Beck has gotten its damage reduced quite a bit on the first rank, and then progressively less all the way up to the 4th rank. Effectively, it goes from 2% more damage at rank 1 to 1.5% more damage. The Shard of Jas has gotten a similar nerf. Incoming healing you receive has gotten nerfed from 1% to 0.7%. Same goes for the maximum health. Has also been reduced from 400 max HP in a single shard to 300 max HP in a single shard, all the way up to minor and more minor nerfs until the rank 5 shard, which is unchanged. The only 2 shards that actually have gotten buffed are the shit ones. One was Leech, which is getting buffed. Leech in and of itself is actually very powerful for healers, that needs to be said, but the base number was still way too low. They're getting buffed by 50%. The max rank will give you 60 Leech instead of 40. The other shitty shard, which has gotten buffed by the same rate, is the speed. So not even any power, just moving faster, is getting buffed at the max rank in the end by 50%. The other shards, you have the Shard of Core, which is again the damage increase shard getting nerfed. This one, so far at least, is the only shard that Blizzard has planned to nerf across the board. This isn't just a matter of scaling, this isn't just a matter of, oh, don't worry, the rank 5 shards will be as powerful as it was before. The rank 5 shard has gotten nerfed as well, and heavily. Before, it was just at rank 1. Just as soon as you got it, it was a 3% more damage for 20 seconds after you attack an enemy you have not yet damaged. This was essentially going to be almost always active for pretty much all of the trash in Mythic Plus, right? As long as a trash pool lasted less than 20 seconds, as soon as you damaged all of them with your first AoE ability, let's say Flame Strike, you would get bonus damage on all of them for 20 seconds. So this has gotten nerfed by 50% at rank 1, so instead of being 3% more damage as soon as you damage them all the way up to 4.5, it goes down from 1.5 to 3%. So the max rank after the nerf is as strong as the first rank before the nerf. Then for the rest of the shards, similar nerf. The Shards of Domination has gotten the scaling of your crit nerfed, because now your critical hits are going to cause a smaller absorb shield to be generated, and then at rank 5 it's going to stay the same. The same can be said for the Shard of QoL, that gives you an automatic passive background absorb shield to grow up every 5 seconds. And then the last ones, the Shard of Diz as the stacking damage shard nerfed. Previously you were gaining 0.33% more damage per stack at rank 1, now you're gaining 0.25, so that is a measly 0.25% less damage at rank 1, and the Shard of Zed has the nerf about the draining health from nearby enemies every 2 seconds, which is getting nerfed by roughly 40%. Again, this is going to be a matter of preference, whether or not you wanted stronger borrowed powers or weaker borrowed powers. I think you should be more annoyed about the nerfs to the anima powers in Mythic Plus than these ones. These ones are whatever, but the nerfs in Mythic Plus are going to feel a little bit worse, because at the end of the day you have to kill a boss, a mini boss, to get those buffs. So having them nerfed, having them feel weaker, is not going to make you feel as good in dealing with those mini bosses. It also might increase the likelihood of players intentionally skipping these mini bosses, even if they have to deal with the increased difficulty of the last boss, just because with the nerfed anima powers it's not going to be worth even defeating some of these mini bosses. I don't think these shards getting slightly tuned is going to have the same effect in terms of power loss compared to the anima powers being nerfed. Lastly, we have the specific post by Blizzard trying to clear up any confusion about the start of Season 2 and the item level that you're going to get in the Great Vault and the item level that you're going to find in Mythic Plus, etc, etc. Just to make it clear, they point out that Season 2 will begin on July the 6th, but the Great Vault looks back at previous efforts to determine the level of the rewards. So even if you complete a plus 15 this week, next Tuesday or next Wednesday, you're not going to get a 252 item level piece. It's still going to be capped at today's item level, which is 226. With the July 6 weekly reset, marking the start of Season 2, all Mythic Plus rating will be reset to 0. All Mythic Plus keystones will be lowered by an additional 3 levels to account for the overall increase in dungeon difficulty. Now, people were a little bit confused. What does an additional 3 levels mean? Does it mean 3 levels plus the extra default one? Well, no, because if you have kept track with the news, nowadays you don't actually lose 1 level of Mythic Plus keys during your weekly reset. If you complete a plus 18, next week you're getting a plus 18. So when Blizzard says that the keystones will be lowered by 3 levels, if you have completed a plus 18, it's going to be a 15, which is what you want next week. Mythic Plus players who wish to receive the best rewards from the Great Vault will want to complete Mythic Plus dungeon at plus 15 or higher during the week of July from the 6th to the 12th. Now, this is also one of the new additions. You will not be getting the highest item level from the Great Vault anymore by completing plus 14s, only from completing the 15. As a counterbalance, though, you will be able to get the max item level from the end of the run Mythic Plus cash from completing plus 14s. So you will be able, just to be clear, to farm plus 14s and get the same item level you used to get from a 15. The other obvious one is that Mythic Plus end of run drops will cap at Mythic Plus 10 throughout the week of July the 6th to the 12th. And Season 2 rated PvP gear upgrades are initially capped at Rival, which is 239. So Mythic Plus 10 meaning 229 item level. That's the item level cap of next week. Another one of the important points is that after Season 2 has been underway for a week, so after July the 12th, so after the next reset, the Great Vault will offer upgraded rewards following the weekly reset on July the 13th, and also it's going to include, obviously, the rewards earned in the Sanctum of Domination raid, as well as the Gladiators PvP gear. Now, most of this should be relevant, especially the raid one, because Mythic is not going to be available, so the highest item level you will be offered in the Sanctum of Domination is going to be from the heroic bosses, so 239, and from the last two bosses, Sylvanas and Kel'Thuzad is 246, whereas completing Mythic Plus at plus 15 will reward you with 252. So very likely, unless you're really gunning for some very powerful trinkets, Mythic Plus is going to be better gear than raids until Mythic raiding opens. So that was the message, trying to make it clearer to people how to behave, at least when it comes to Mythic Plus for the next week or so. Do a plus 18 now, get a plus 15 next reset, you will still get 226 from the Great Vault. Do a plus 15 next reset to get a 252 item level reward from the Great Vault on July the 13th. That's the to go for the foreseeable future before Mythic raiding difficulty opens, in which case everything else will be fully unlocked. This was all for the news of today and the changes Blizzard has put into the game. Thank you guys anyways for watching the video. If you have enjoyed this, I'm still waiting on my personalized AC, as I am currently completely naked and it's not getting any better. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, since this is going to be tonight's menu, please share your favorite pizza topping and be very careful of your next words.